So I'd known Shima for a little while, a couple of years ago, and I was actually about to participate on one of her courses, and that got cancelled for various reasons. But I ended up coming and doing the Akashic Records with Shima, so I got to know a little. It was all a bit, I was a little bit unsure at first, you know, it did feel a little bit woo-woo. You know, I'm into a lot of alternative healings, but you know, kind of third dimension, fifth dimension, quantum, it felt a little bit. However, I'm very open-minded. And what happened for me was I arrived here a couple of years ago in February, and I have a house in Ochen, so it's, I don't know if you know Ochen, but it's very hilly. I mean, even just to walk down to the shop from my house and walk up again, it's constantly like this wherever you go. Normally, I get here and I'm kind of racing down to the shop, racing back, and I noticed that I was struggling. I mean, literally, I would pop down to the shop, I'd come back to my house, and I was like, and I was really thinking, what's going on here? So, because I've had experience of with other people that I knew with heart problems, I wondered whether the breathlessness was caused by maybe a heart problem. And because I got very scared, because I have a tiny casita in Ochen, I couldn't even walk up the stairs without getting breathless. And I said to my partner, I think I need to go and see a cardiologist. And I went to a cardiologist in Marbella, and he gave me an echocardiogram. And he came back and he said, Debbie, I think you've got ischemic heart disease. And he was pushing me, that literally he wanted me the next day or a couple of days later, he wanted me to go to a hospital in Marbella and have a CAT scan, which measures the amount of calcium in your heart, and an invasive test that puts some kind of dye that goes into and checks kind of for any calcium and ischemic heart disease. Well, if anyone knows me, I don't like injections and I don't like hospitals. So I would do anything to avoid them. I mean, we're talking anything. And I always look to the alternatives. I have never, ever, apart from a paracetamol when I was younger, I've never had any drugs at all. Everything I take is supplemental, eating healthily, So when I got to this doctor and he told me I had heart disease, I wasn't keen to go and have these invasive tests. So I turned to Shima, I thought, you know something, these tests are going to cost me a fortune. I'm going to go and have a session with Shima and I'm just going to see what comes out of it. It was amazing. We're talking 1 hour of emotion and body code. It makes me emotional because it actually really changed my life. So 1 hour of emotion and body code. What happened was she's pinpointed 5 traumas that had happened in my past. I mean, literally to the date. She said, Debbie, what happened on this date? Because it's something big and you have got 5 fist-sized traumas in your lungs and this is why you're not breathing. And we went through each trauma and she taught me how to clear the trauma, which I did. I came out of that session, and you know, when you come out of a session, you have no idea how it's going to be. You know, you have no idea. But the very next day, myself and my partner Guy went to Cordoba. I walked for 7 hours. And also, there's a bloody tall tower in Cordoba. I don't know if anyone's been up there. Loads of stairs. I got all the way up those stairs, and I wasn't breathless. I was a bit tired, but I wasn't breathless at all. To this day, I have not been breathless. I did not go back to that cardiologist. And I also have an alternative doctor here, an amazing doctor who takes a blood test and he checks your body. And I've just been to see him recently, and I saw him last year. And he says my bloods are perfect, everything's perfect. He actually looked at his assistant and said, wow, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, it's amazing because your platelets are completely healed, your blood is 100% perfect. You know, so it's been a really incredible experience for me. One other thing, I mean, that was amazing for me, but one other thing, I had another session with Shima about something else, and this was, I had a lot of fear and uncertainty about the future. I live in the UK, the new Prime Minister came in, really concerned about what he was doing. I was actually freaking out just before the last election, and I had a session online with Shima. These days, I get up every day and I focus on just keeping my vibration high, living in the moment, living presently. And actually, when I go back in a couple of weeks' time, I've been here for a few months, I've got a shed load to do when I get back, you know, and I'm not even concerned about the uncertainty. It's like, oh, I just deal with it when it comes up. Something is completely transformed in my brain because I just don't have fear for what's ahead. I used to have this thing over me, it felt like the sword of Damocles, or when was the other shoe going to drop? You know that feeling that something's going to drop and something really bad is going to happen? That's gone, I don't get that anymore. I just wake up, live my day, and whatever presents that day, I deal with. So this really has been transformational for me.
Thank you so much for sharing this.